Hello, for this video, we're going to solve problems about hyperbola. Number 1, identify the coordinates of the center, vertices, and foci. Write the equations of the asymptotes, then graph the hyperbola of x squared over 9 minus y squared over 16 equals 1. Okay, so let's rewrite the equation. So x squared over 9 minus y squared over 16 equals 1. Since this is positive x squared, therefore this is our a and this is our b. And since we only have x squared over 9 minus y squared over 16, then it means our center is at the origin. So center is at 0, 0. So if 9 is a squared, therefore square root of a is equal to 3. And if b squared is equal to 16, so b is equal to 4. So since we know a and b, then we can solve for c. Okay, so c squared is equal to a squared plus b squared. So c is equal to the square root of a squared 9 plus 16. So c is equal to the square root of 25. So c is equal to 5. And also, since we're given x squared as positive, so therefore the graph or the hyperbola is a horizontal hyperbola that opens left and right. Okay, so let's graph our center. So the center is at the origin, and a is the distance from the center to the vertices. So it means we need 3 units to the right and 3 units to the left. And our b value, which is 4, is under y squared. So it means we're going up 4 units up and 4 units down. 3, 4. Now we're done plotting the a and b points, and with these 4 points we're going to draw an imaginary rectangle that connects these points. And the reason for that is because it will help us to graph our asymptotes. So our asymptotes are the diagonals of this rectangle. Oops, there. So that's our asymptotes. So now we can sketch the graph of our hyperbola. So it's something like this. So this is the vertex. There. Now let's graph our foci. Where do we know the foci? The foci is RC. So C is the distance from the center to the foci. So that's 5 units to the left and right. So this is 4. B is 4. 1, 2, 3. A is 4. So this is 5. That's our first foci. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is our second foci. Let me extend the graph. Okay, so now let's identify our vertices. So for vertices where the center is at the origin, the coordinate is plus or minus a and 0. So which is this? So it means we have plus or minus 3 and 0. This one. So one vertex, second vertex. And for our foci, we have identified that in our graph, and that is plus or minus 5 and 0. And for our asymptotes, for this particular hyperbola, the equation is y is equal to plus or minus b over a x. So the equation of our asymptotes will be plus or minus 4 over 3x. Okay, number 2, identify the coordinates of the center, vertices, and foci. Write the equations of the asymptotes, then graph the hyperbola. The equation is given y squared over 4 minus x squared over 9 equals 1. Since y squared is positive this time, so therefore 4 is our a squared, and this parabola is a vertical one, and that means it will open upward and downward. And since we're just given y squared and x squared, so the center is at 0, 0. So as mentioned earlier, our a squared is the one under y, because that's positive. So whenever which one is positive, that would be our a. So square root of a, square root of 4 is 2. And our b squared is 9. The square root of b is equal to the square root of 9, which is 3. And then let's calculate our c. So c is the square root of a squared plus b squared. So the square root of 4 plus 9. So c is square root of 13. So those are our a, b, and c. Okay, so let's plot our a and b. So a is 2 under y, so that means that's 2 units from the center. Our center is the origin, and 2 units downward as well. And our b is under x squared, so that is along our x-axis. So from the center, 3 units, 1, 2, 3, and 3 units to the left, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Okay, so for this vertical parabola, the coordinates of our vertices would be at 0 and plus or minus A. So in this case, our vertices is at 0 plus or minus 2. So this is our vertex 1 and vertex 2. And as mentioned earlier, these 4 points of our A's and B's, we will draw an imaginary rectangle to help us graph our asymptotes. And like we said a while ago, our asymptotes are the diagonals of this rectangle. Okay, so our graph would look something like this. Okay, and this one is opening downwards. Okay, and for our foci, the coordinates would be at 0 plus or minus C. So our coordinates would be at 0 plus or minus square root of 13. So let's graph our foci. Square root of 13 is about 3.6. So 1, 2, 3. So somewhere here, the first one, 1, 2, 3. Somewhere here is the second. So that's our foci. Now for the equation of our asymptote, so for the vertical parabola, that is y equals plus or minus a over b x. Since we know the values of a and b, so let's just substitute that. So y is equal to plus or minus 2/3 x.